It is a new moon, it is a new year, and it is a new generational shift that will go on until 2044, all in this week's horoscope. So let's get into it. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever it is that you are located. Hello, welcome to Magic Monday, particularly your Magic Monday astrology forecast for the week of March 20th to March 26th, 2023. What is happening within the cosmos above us and how we will feel these shifts, ingresses, and changes, which by the way, there's a lot this week amongst us down here on planet Earth. And here on Magic Monday, we strive to not only just let you know what's happening astrologically, but let you know how you can co-create with the cosmos, how you can seize the cosmic blessings ahead, and how you can be wary of these celestial challenges. And one of the most major cosmic blessings that I want to ensure that you seize within this week's astrology is all of this fresh, new energy that we are stepping into. We are starting out, or writing rather, a brand new chapter. We are embodying a brand new side of ourselves. We are stepping into a fresh new paradigm. It is the astrological new year. And you might be saying, Haley Comet, we already had the new year. Why was I making resolutions on January 1st? And to that I say, why were you? Because if you're watching Magic Monday, you know that I said that the new year starts in March. I'm just kidding. But seriously, in astrology, the new year begins when the sun ingresses into Aries, which happens this week, signaling happy birthday season to all of the Aries. We adore you for your passion, for your courage, and your initiative, which all of us are sort of embodying this week around stepping in fiercely into this fresh new era, this fresh new paradigm. So not only is it the astrological new year, which is a time essentially of stepping into a new era, it's also a new moon, which is also very opportune and aligned for new beginnings, particularly those of an Aries variety. So perhaps things that are a little bit more bold and courageous and have a little bit more initiative. Outside of that, we also have Aries ruler. So keep in mind, with more and more of the cosmos entering Aries, that means more and more planets are answering to Mars. So what Mars is doing is of deep relevance and deep importance, okay? And Mars is entering territory it's not crazy about, but when I say, holy cow, I'm so excited for Mars to GTFO Gemini. Oh my goodness. So Mars ingresses into Cancer this week. And if you're wondering why I sound so exasperated, Mars has been in Gemini for the past 7 months because it was part of the retrograde. So I'm just really excited for a fresh new Mars energy, even though it will have some challenges in Cancer. We'll talk about it, but that's a huge tonal shift, is the planet of action assertion entering the more security-oriented, responsive waters of Cancer. That's a major shift. But the biggest shift of all, guys, the biggest shift of all is that Pluto is entering Aquarius. And this is a big deal because Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008. Okay, so we are wrapping up this Capricorn-Pluto chapter, which, if 2008 rings any bells, was really a time of deep financial instability, which absolutely is playing out right now as well. And with Pluto entering Aquarius, essentially signaling a brand new era that humanity is stepping into, particularly around Aquarius themes, technology, the future, humanitarianism. I do have a deep dive video that goes into more depth because that's a big shift. And it's not that all of those themes are going to play out this week, but we're getting hints. We're getting foreshadows around, okay, this is how humanity is transforming. Like it or not, a new era is beginning. And this week is about being able to seize the strength of this Aries energy, to step into the new era that we are being asked of, to be able to step into the work that we are here to do, be able to step into the self that we know that we inherently are. This week requires a lot of courage. This week requires a lot of boldness, even amidst some energies that are a little bit more sensitive, like Mercury conjunct Chiron and Mars ingressing into Cancer. So we will break down all of these themes thematically as well as day by day, so you can see how they're coming to the surface within your world. But before we do, consider this my heartfelt apology. I have a Pisces cup during Aries season, but give me a break. The week does start in Pisces season, okay? And I'm gonna cling to my season. It's simply what I'm going to do. But I'm just sipping a cup of coffee today, nothing exciting. Let me know what you guys are sipping on to start your week. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Vibe Check of the Week. Cheers, my loves, to a fresh new era. So here in Vibe Check of the Week, if you are new here, we essentially take all of the astrological influences that are playing out within this week's astrology. So Sun sextile Pluto and Mercury conjunct Chiron in the Aries new moon and Mars entering Cancer. We take all of these pieces and we essentially liken it to a real life scenario so that you don't have to necessarily remember all of the pieces of this week's astrology. You can just tune into and grab onto an emotion, a situation, a vibe, hence the name. And perhaps it'll even shine a light on how these themes can come to the surface within your world as you navigate this week's astrology. So in this week's vibe check, I'm going to paint a picture for you, okay? In this week's vibe check, you are an actor, you are an actress, okay? And it is opening night and there is an electricity in the air. There is nervous chatter in the audience. There's nervous chatter backstage with your fellow castmates. You haven't been able to eat all day. You just have so many nervous butterflies within your tummy. Your heart is just beating as the minutes get closer and closer and closer to showtime. And even then the minutes get closer and closer and closer to the first time that you are meant to step on stage. And you are so nervous. You're grappling with huge feelings of imposter syndrome. This is the first time you've gotten a role of this caliber, acting amongst thespians of this caliber as well. And you are waiting in the wings. They have those like thick velvet curtains. There's like the lighting people to your side, like the curtain people to your side as well. And your heart, even though the play is going on and it's loud and it's getting laughter and all the things, your heart is beating so fast that you can hear it. You can like feel it in your throat. You're sweating. Every possible thought is going through your head. Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? But then your cue arrives and you step onto the stage and you leave that all behind. You get activated. You just turn on the role, okay? You step into your character fully. You leave behind your nerves. You leave behind your fear of the critics. You leave behind your imposter syndrome. In that moment, it's like you come alive and you remember, I am born for this and I am just going to be fully alive within this moment on this stage. This week's astrology feels like that. Not because all of us are going to, go join a play. Perhaps for you, it would be more relevant from life experience, maybe thinking about the moments before stepping on stage at a pageant, before stepping on stage when your band's going to play, before stepping on stage as a comedian. But that moment when you just need to step into your fiercest, strongest self and leave behind the doubts, leave behind the insecurity, right? And just remember, I was born for this. I prepared for this. I can do this, right? Not allowing that to dampen your performance, like just being able to step into your boldest version so that nobody in the audience knows how nervous you are, so that nobody in the audience knows how much you're like, critics, please like this. All they see is just you and your talent, right? Whether it is acting, singing, whatever life experience you can liken this to. Maybe you've never been on a stage. Maybe it would be more relevant thinking about stepping before a presentation. But essentially thinking of those moments when you are just so nervous, can I do this? Can I do this? But then you just feel that switch turn when it's time and it's like, it is showtime, baby. I'm gonna put on a show. Now, why does this week's astrology feel like that? Couple reasons. One being, there's a lot of fresh new energy, right? Hence why, the vibe check, it's opening night. There's nervous electricity in the air. We're stepping into a new era, okay? We're stepping into a new chapter. So giving yourself permission to leave behind things within the last year. Like if there are certain experiences, inner monologues, or just feelings of doubt or imposter syndrome that you are ready to let go. I mean, particularly in the first day of this week, it's a waning crescent moon. We are being given permission to essentially shed and release, and not just Pisces season, but like the entire year of experiences, because this is a new year, right? And to be able to just step into your fierceness and your authenticity is the energy of Aries. To believe in yourself and to be able to project this strength, this courage, this talent, even if internally, the story is slightly different, right? You're a little nervous. The Aries sun will be answering to Mars in Cancer. So it's like you're a little nervous, you're a little uneasy, but you are just not going to let them see that. You are going to come alive, okay, when you are on stage or when you're entering this new chapter. Because perhaps for you, it's not that you're stepping out on a stage, but perhaps for you, it's that you are stepping into a new era of your life that does feel deeply uncomfortable. Maybe you are allowing yourself to be seen in new ways. You're starting a business, you're starting a podcast, you're dialing up your existing business, you're launching something, right? And it's vulnerable. You could step on that stage and people could throw tomatoes. Do people do that for real? They could throw tomatoes. The critics could rip you to shreds, right? There's so much that can go wrong, and it is very vulnerable, allowing yourself to be seen within your talents, within your vulnerabilities, which yes, the Mars and Cancer energy signifies, but also with Mercury on Chiron, like feeling that loop around you're not cut out for this, you're not good enough. But this week is about feeling that fear, feeling those insecurities with Mercury on Chiron, with Mars in Cancer, kind of like wanting to hide, feeling that and stepping into it anyway, right? And with this fresh new energy of seeing who it is that we want to be, what it is that we want to embody, which obviously is our own self. It is our authenticity, right? That's the energy of Aries, is to thine own self be true, allowing our, pure light to radiate. But I will say with this Aries new moon, it's like seeing that, but exaggerated, right? Like still being true to ourselves, but having a little bit more confidence, right? That we step in with our shoulders back, or having a little bit more of a tilt to our language as we deliver the certain lines that maybe we wouldn't give if we were just talking to our castmates backstage. There's this energy around seeing how it is that we want our life to look and stepping into it, because the Aries new moon makes a loose conjunction to Neptune and a loose conjunction to Mercury. The loose conjunction of Mercury is speaking it into existence, right? So just projecting and speaking these lines as if you are fully this character. And with the new moon conjoining Neptune, it's like seeing the version of yourself that you'd like to be and just stepping into it, just deciding, no, I'm gonna be the confident actress tonight. I'm gonna be this role of this character that I am totally embodying. I'm going to pitch this idea in the writer's room with confidence, as though I know this will sell, even if internally I'm questioning if I even am allowed to be there. There's just this energy where, I know it's hard to believe, like you're thinking of certain people who are very confident and be like, well, they don't get nervous or they don't doubt themselves. Everyone does. It's what it is that you choose to do with it. It's whether or not you choose to let those nerves or that fear around genuinely being seen, right? Because that can be very vulnerable to really be seen. Like even if you're playing a role in a play, there's still parts of you that filter through. There's still parts of your lived experiences that you bring with you into that role. It can be very vulnerable, right? And it's up to you whether you choose to let those nerves and that fear, am I good enough? Am I good enough? Do you choose to turn away and run away out of the curtains and just abandon the whole thing? Or do you choose to just own it and just step into the stage, step into those hot lights that just flood every part of your being and just come alive and just remember, I was born for this. And at the risk of making this portion too wordy, because we will go into day-by-day breakdown, Pluto entering Aquarius also filters into this, because there is this energy around being able to step into something that you are here to do. I have not been shy about this, about voicing that I truly do believe that with Pluto ingressing into Aquarius, a whole new generation of leaders are essentially emerging, right? To help guide us into the future, help guide the collective into the future. So a lot of people are being called upon to share their talents, to share their light, to lead, to guide, to inspire, whether you choose to do so through your art, whether you choose to do so through your business, whether it is that you choose to do so within your family. There is this energy around being called towards the future and new people being essentially picked and chosen to lead and to guide and to empower into this new era. And understanding that your passions are a clue to that, okay? Following what it is that's really activating you at that moment. Like I guarantee there's parts of your passion that are filtered within that. And there's a way that you're meant to help inspire and lead through that passion, right? So even though you're in the wings, like, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? When you step in, you just remember, it's like something in your DNA. It's in your natal chart, right? It gets activated and you're like, I love acting. Like I can step into this, right? I was made for this. And again, not all of us on Thursday will wake up and be like, oh my gosh, I suddenly need to start this nonprofit and I'm gonna, again, this will be a shift until 2044, but I want you to clue into those passions, right? I want you to clue into those passions, because I will say the new start that we're stepping into, it has ramifications and it has essentially this amplifying that's beyond even what we can conceive of at this time. And so it's just important that you feel that fear, you feel that indecision, but you do it anyway, because the universe is cheering you on behind the curtains, being like, this is what you're made to do. Feel that fear, feel those nerves. That's that's to be expected with a new start, to a new play, to a new business, to a new relationship, what have you. But don't allow it to keep you stagnant. Like the energy of Aries asks us to be courageous and step into it, even with the stage fright. Okay, so we'll give this more nuance in our day-by-day analysis. I just want to make a quick note that all timestamps are available below. So if you want to jump to a particular day or jump back to a particular day, go right ahead. And if I mention in time, it is Pacific Daylight Time, PDT, which I believe is otherwise known as GMT -7. So make sure to adjust to your time zone before putting it into your planner, before making a mental note, as that can shift the days and times that certain aspects are concentrated around. So the astrology of Monday, March 20th is truly magic, and to that I say it's about time. We've been having a lot of cranky, grumpy Mondays as of late, but we are starting this week on this powerful note. And this powerful note I speak of is the sun ingressing into Aries. But before the sun leaves Pisces, it gets a pep talk. It gets a pep talk from Pluto and Capricorn as sun sextiles Pluto before it enters Aries at 2:24 p.m. And with the Pisces sun sort of sextiling Pluto and Capricorn, it's this reminder that this life will continue to push us and contort us and change us in ways, many of which we feel ready for, and maybe others that we do not feel ready for. But alas, change is constantly moving us forward, and every life that we've lived prior has prepared us for this particular iteration of our journey. And just to a symbolic level, I really love that the Pisces essentially placements, so the sun leaving Pisces and Mercury leaving Pisces over the weekend, their closing aspect was a sextile to Pluto and Capricorn, because it just sort of speaks to this overall theme that's coming up for those who have Pisces placements. Because Saturn is now in Pisces placements, as well as really my mutables, but focusing on Pisces placements are being asked to sort of like boss up with Saturn in their sign. They're being asked to really step into their dreams. They're being asked to really do the work to bring them into reality. And reality can be something that makes, the Pisces fish swim away, right? And there's a common feeling amongst Pisces, and I most certainly have felt this many times in my life, around I'm not strong enough for this. This world isn't cut out for me. I'm too sensitive to survive. I'm not cut out to survive. And it's almost like with Pluto sort of sextiling Pisces placements, it's like, okay, this new chapter may be challenging, but you've got this. You are stronger than you realize. And this new transformation, you will meet new parts of yourself. You've got this. So it's just this energy. It feels like with the Pisces sun sextiling Pluto, to take in all of that sensitivity, right? All of that compassion, all of those nerves, wherever that's coming to the surface that makes you feel like I'm not cut out for this. I can't do this. When sextile to Pluto and Capricorn, just remember your power. Remember that life will constantly transform, and you were made for this. Okay, you've got this. So there's this energy around remember your power and understand your sensitivity, those nerves, your lived experiences that make you feel vulnerable. You might feel like, well, that's why I can't do it. And it's like, no, that's why you are being chosen. That's why you are being asked to, step into this role, is because of the lived experiences that you relate with, right? That's why you're being asked to step up as a healer, because what if you have had to heal within your world? Like there's this energy around bring all of those fears or those insecurities or that sensitivity with you into this next chapter. It actually makes you stronger. It doesn't make you weaker, I promise. So after the Pisces sun, and if you've been leaving Pisces season being like, oh, I'm so sensitive, I feel so much, can I do this? It's like a final closing aspect from Pluto and Capricorn, like, you've got this, okay, you've got this. And then the sun ingresses into Aries at 2:24, and this signals essentially spring equinox here in the northern hemisphere and fall equinox in the southern hemisphere. And with the sun ingressing into Aries, it is birthday season to all of our lovely Rams. We adore you for your authenticity. We adore you for your courage, for your willingness to try new things. Thank you for energizing the cosmos, truly getting us out of the sleepy Pisces energy and into action, right? That is the ask this week. And with the sun entering Aries, we can find our fire sort of returning as more and more cosmos almost dip into fire signs. We can feel our passion is returning, our energy is returning, our vitality is returning, right? And with that being said, sometimes with the energy, it could be a little too fiery, a little too intense, a little impulsive, a little bit more angry, a little bit more explosive, a little too honest. Right now we have Mercury in Aries as well, so a little bit of foot and mouth syndrome, but we're owning who it is that we are, right? We're owning the person that we are. And I think that's what's so refreshing about Aries energy and why I have so many Aries best friends is because you know exactly where you stand with them. They let you know exactly what's up. You will never be confused where you stand with the Aries. They will make it very clear. They will make it very clear their opinion because they don't fake the funk. They are who it is that they are because this is the first sign of the zodiac. It represents a sign of self, just the pure spark of being alive. So we're being very unapologetic about the person that we are. We're like, if somebody has an issue with that, that is their issue. This is just who it is that I am. And with the energy of Pisces, you know, we could have found we're taking on other people's emotions and like being more like, oh my gosh, I need to make sure everybody's okay. And with the energy of Aries Sun, it's like, I need to make sure I'm okay. I need to make sure I'm ready for my debut on stage or anything of that nature. I also want to highlight to a lunar perspective, the moon is in Pisces on Monday. So if you're still like, girly girl, I'm still feeling all the things, I will say the moon is in Pisces on Monday. It won't enter Aries until the following day. And compounded onto that, it's also a waning crescent moon, also known as balsamic moon, which does tend to be a time around more so ending and withdrawing and releasing. So if you're not quite feeling like you're ready to set off on all the things, you are aligned with the cosmos. We wouldn't really want to plan or launch anything until after the moon is totally new on Tuesday, moving into waxing crescent later in the week. So give yourself permission. It's not that you need to do it all on Monday. What I will say Monday would be exceptional for is spring cleaning, okay? Spring cleaning, fall cleaning if you're in the southern hemisphere. You know, with waning moons, it's a time to shed and release. So if there is stuff, if there is clutter, there's just this energy around, there's this fresh energy of the sun ingressing into Aries, right? This new chapter. And it's like looking around and being like, what am I not taking with me into this new chapter? Now, whether or not we can like, you know, prod the Pisces moon to actually get cleaning. Who knows? The Pisces moon might be more inclined to daydream about the new start or things of that nature. But I will say, if you're looking at things and you're just like, oh, there's just too much clutter, there's just too much stuff, the waning moon is great, as well as just wrapping up, tying up loose ends, those mental to-dos that you're like, oh, this is so annoying. It's like a little fly buzzing in my ear. Like, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. Like, just seek to find some mental space to really claim this new start. Just think on Monday, how can I wrap up loose ends? How can I tie up what's kind of pulling at my energy so that I can fully and firmly claim this new start, right? What clothes are just not indicative or representative of this new start I'm stepping into? What clutter on my work desk does not represent the business person I'm trying to step into? What are the tasks that every time I go to plan the big picture things for my business and for my creations, I'm like, oh, but you got to do this, but you got to do this, but you got to do this. This is the day to make them happen. Not saying it'll be easy, okay? The sun's in Pisces for the first portion of the day. The moon's in Pisces all day. And I'm not calling Pisces energy lazy by all means. No, not at all. But all I'm saying is that fish are kind of skittery. They're very powerful when the inspiration strikes them, but you know, you gotta wait for the inspiration to strike them sometimes. So if possible, my loves, I would just definitely say on Monday, get some energy into motion. The Pisces moon does sextile Uranus, so there is an eye towards newness. There's an eye towards novelty. And like, we do have the Pisces sun sextile Pluto and Capricorn. So just focus on how embodied you're going to feel, on how powerful you're going to feel when you get that clutter out of your home, when you tie up those loose ends, so you can focus on the big picture things. Like, you know, Pisces energy, by no means am I calling it lazy. That's not what I'm saying, but it is an energy in which we're more likely to kind of flow with where life is taking us. And I just want you to use Monday to just take life up by the reins, being like, if I have this fresh new start coming in later this week, what am I not taking with me into this fresh new start? What do I just need to get off my desk, get off my mind, get off my plate? What do I need to tie up, right? What is pulling at my attention, pulling at my energy? And every year when the sun ingresses into Aries, it is International Astrology Day. So I just want to say happy International Astrology Day to you all. It is so fun to have this YouTube channel, to be able to like nerd out with other people about this language. I mean, it used to be something within my life that was so isolating. It was just something that I kind of like nerded out about in my own world. So it's been really cool to be able to connect with people who love this as much as I love this. this. And I just want to say, I don't know what it is that makes me so lucky in this regard, but I truly feel insanely blessed because of the people who are essentially magnetized to the orbit of my work. I don't know what it is, but I get to work with and connect to the coolest people who continually leave me inspired. And so whether you're subscribed to my YouTube, whether you've worked with me within a consultation, whether you have taken any of my courses or any other way that my work has impacted you or that we've gotten the opportunity to connect, I just want to say thank you so much. And I'm just continually inspired by you all. Like, I don't know what it is, but I get to work with some of the most talented, beautiful, mission-driven, empowered, nurturing, loving, innovative, creative people. And that's literally not an understatement. I swear to you. I like pretty much every time I hang up a consultation or like hang up a class, I'm like, who are these magical people? Like, why are all these magical people drawn to the work? And I don't know if it's because people who are into astrology are just have a vested, deep desire to want to live fully and live well and really like know themselves. And that's why so many cool people I get to connect with through this art interpretation. But seriously, like the biggest gift that astrology has given me, even though it's given me so many personal gifts for my own journey, the biggest thing has been the people I've gotten to connect with. Truly, that's been the biggest thing. I will also say, obviously, when it comes to astrology, and I would love to hear, how has astrology shaped your life? How has it impacted you? And it's also just the healing energy that astrology has had. I think I found astrology when I was going through it. And I know a lot of people find astrology when they're going through it because it tends to be a time that you are looking for answers. And truly, I consider astrology a form of healing. It is something that put me back together again when I was deeply, deeply broken. And so it just brings me so much joy to be able to do that for others in some way, teach, lead, and inspire the way that others have teached, led, and inspired me. It just makes me so happy, and it is my life's work, and it is my joy to be able to celebrate the unique spark of life that your birth chart and the unique themes that you're moving through with your transits are bringing forward, and it's not something I take for granted. So I just want to say happy International Astrology Day, all my astro lovers. So the astrology of Tuesday, March 21st is an exciting fresh start, but you might not feel it the moment you open your eyes on Tuesday, depending on where you are located within the world, as the Pisces moon does meet up with Neptune overnight. Now, this can make your dreams very, very vivid, and definitely make sure to write them down. They can have messages. This new moon does involve Neptune, so there is some sort of ethereal, divine, otherworldly, right, vibe on Tuesday. But when it comes to moon on Neptune, we tend to be a little bit more distracted, head in the clouds. And also the Pisces moon squares off with Mars, still in Gemini. It moves this week, thank goodness. But the Pisces moon squares off with Mars in Gemini. So we might be feeling a little listless, low energy, not in the mood. Whenever there's like moon Neptune, I just feel so sluggish starting the day. And also, in addition to feeling low energy or kind of like out of this world or just like out of it, you can also notice just like driving to work. So this exacts at 5:55, the Pisces moon squaring off with Mars in Gemini. You can notice that people are a little bit more angsty, reactive. That's certainly something that you need to be mindful of with Aries season, right? People are a little bit more knee-jerk, a little bit more impulsive, and impulsive with their mouth too, with Mercury and Aries. And just with Pisces moon square Mars and Gemini, we may be feeling a little crabby and then a little bit more reactive from that space. The vibe does chill out Pisces moon wise with that sextile to Pluto and Capricorn, right? Which is around, okay, feeling all the emotions, but I still have to go to work, or I'm feeling annoyed, but I'm still gonna get my kids ready for the day and carry on, because that's all we can do in this life. And then the moon enters Aries at 9:01 a.m., which should help sort of like move us into action, right? Like, let's start the day, let's get these intentions. These intentions aren't gonna start themselves. This journey is gonna start itself. Also, you may have noticed the angle shifted and I swapped out my coffee for sparkling water. I'm gonna give the excuse, it's because this Aries new moon is so much energy that I didn't need caffeine any longer, so I could shift to sparkling water. But in all honesty, my camera battery died, and in typical me fashion, I got distracted, ate lunch, lived multiple lives, ran a marathon, and then I was like, wasn't I filming? And then, yeah, so it's hours in the future, no longer appropriate to be drinking coffee. Anyways, we're just gonna move on from that. This Aries new moon is quite energetic. So with this Aries new moon, it's pure undistilled energy. It occurs at 0 degrees. Now, I do have an all signs deep dive that I recommend watching just so you can see what area of your life is most potent for brand new beginnings, brand new starts. Let's say you're listening to this and you're like, okay, Haley, comment, I'm feeling pressured. What am I meant to start this week? I don't have anything that I want to start. Look at where it is in your chart. You have 0 degrees Aries, and I can give you some ideas on what arenas of your life you can supercharge with this fresh new energy, this fresh new enthusiasm, this initiative, and this courageous energy of Aries. And so let's talk about the aspects that this new moon makes. So this new moon makes a loose conjunction to Neptune, who is still in Pisces, but because this new moon lands at this pure energy of 0 degrees Aries, it is technically conjoining. Neptune governs screens, mirrors, cameras. And I say this because obviously, you know, there is a theatric element to this week's vibe check, though you're welcome to sub it out for whatever performance you mostly relate to. But I do want to share with the energy of Neptune, it's around really seeing the vision within your mind's eye. And then the energy of Aries is about bringing it into existence. So if you constantly daydream around, I just want to be on stage, I just want to make people laugh, I just want to be able to talk to people about what it is that they're going through, like there is a strong energy around, why just dream about it when we can make it happen, when we can initiate it, when we can bring it into existence, right? As well as seeing the version of yourself you'd like to step into and stepping into it. I think that's very powerful. And since this new moon is coupled with Neptune, it's like seeing ourselves, seeing that version of ourselves playing as though it's projecting onto a movie screen and just stepping into it unabashedly and courageously. The most productive job I've ever had, truly, not in terms of impact, but in terms of its profound influence on my life, truly, was being a lifeguard. Now, I never got in the water. I never saved anybody. I was a good lifeguard. I would definitely look, but I will say when the pool was empty, that was some of the most productive time that I've ever had, because all I would do is look at the water, look into the pool, and just visualize what I wanted my life to be, as though it was playing on a screen, right? And it's so strange because a lot of the things that I daydream about while like staring into that pool happened. It was bizarre. And obviously with this energy of Aries, with Saturn and Pisces, we need to make it happen. It won't just magically land in our lap, but there is something to be said around visualizing the dream and then using this Aries new moon to take action towards it. Being like, why would I just live my dreams within my daydreams when I can firmly make it happen within existence? And with the conjunction to Mercury, it's like speaking into existence. This randomly reminds me, super bizarre, but in Paris Hilton's new memoir, she was talking about when she was sent to Camp Provo. Horrible experience. And she was talking about being put into solitary confinement. So obviously quite different than me just like in my red lifeguard shirt looking at the water, but she was put into solitary confinement. And I think just as a coping mechanism, she had just daydreamed how it was that she wanted her life to look, the version of herself that she wanted to step into. But she had highlighted, like she really decided what that version of herself was going to be. And after that, you know, wanted to step into that version. So when it comes to this new moon, it is about seeing that version of yourself and stepping into it. And again, it's not setting out a fake version of yourself, but sometimes there is something to be said around a fake it till you make it mentality, or at least just putting forth the most embellished, exaggerated form of yourself. And it's like seeing that exaggerated, embellished, sparkly version of you who's like living out what it is that you want and stepping into them. And the beautiful part about that is that it does give a degree of separation where like you can leave all of the nerves or what have you into the more private part of yourself. Again, it's still you, but it's just enhanced. And it was really helpful earlier in my journey to have a different name to call that exaggerated, embellished version of myself Haley Comet, because it was really nerve-wracking at first, like stepping into these events that have like 50, 100 people giving group readings, stepping into these workshops where I'm being asked to teach and to guide and to lead. Like at first, now it's very comfy to me, but at first it was super helpful to be like, when I step into that room, I'm gonna be a Haley Comet. And Haley, when she's just chilling in PJs, she's the one with the nerves, right? Haley Comet's not nervous. Haley Comet was born for this. She remembers that she's born for this. She can turn on at a moment's notice. She'll turn on the moment that she enters that room, right? And obviously it's still you. Haley Comet is still me, right? But I call that exaggerated, embellished version that, again, I saw within my mind's eye looking at that freaking pool when I was a lifeguard. I saw her and now I'm stepping into her, right? And it's just helpful sometimes because you can just step into that version and just being like, well, she doesn't have nerves. She knows she was born for this. She has courage, right? Sometimes it can help to have that distance, as well as so if someone like leaves a mean comment, I'm like, they said that about Haley Comet. They don't know Haley. So maybe you give your exaggerated, embellished persona a name, right? And maybe lead with that foot. Be like, okay, well, Cynthia is so scared to put out this book, but Sin was born for this. Is just gonna put it out, right? And being able to lead with this courageous foot forward. And I would also say, with the conjunction to Mercury, being bold enough to speak it into existence. This is what I want. Being forthright about your desires, right? Saying, like, almost having a finger pointing around, this is the life that I want. This is the person that I want to be. This is the direction that I'm going. I would deeply recommend, I do go over ritual tips within the Aries new moon all signs forecast. I'll have it linked within the description. But I will say, using words, whether you converse with people that you love around what it is that you want, journal it, have a little podcast, have a little like YouTube video. You don't even have to post it, but just putting words to your visions, putting words to that version of yourself that you see, those dreams that you want to bring into fruition. And when it comes to this new moon, a lot of beginning oriented, courageous energy. I do want to say the energy of Aries is about initiating. It's not always about finishing, right? Sometimes the spark of desire goes out. Sometimes it's meant to make us pivot in different directions. But those dreams that you have, if there's like an indecision around that is what I want, how do I get there? This is a powerful new moon to begin to put some energy towards it. Start conversing about it, start researching about it. All planets are direct. Mars is in a new territory of the sky. We have Venus in rulership. We have the sun exalted. Mars is still peregrine at this point. It does enter a place where it's not dignified later this week. But at the moment, Mars is still in Gemini. So there is a lot of help and support from the cosmos around fresh new energy, fresh new ideas, fresh new initiatives, and a fresh new era of stepping into your most embodied, courageous self. Still you, but the version of yourself who is not afraid, the version of yourself who has courage, the version of yourself who steps onto the stage and delivers your lines as if you were made for this, because you are made for this. Editing Haley here. Please excuse the brief interruption, but I did find important to mention that on Tuesday, Venus conjoins the North Node. Now, this can be a time of fated events happening around love, money, beauty. I want you to keep your eyes open to individuals that you connect with or reconnect with, money deals that come up, any sort of beauty themes. I just want you to have your eyes open, because with Venus conjoining North Node, what comes up around this aspect can be pivotal in essentially what's launching us forward. So keep your eyes open. On Wednesday, the 22nd, it is very much feeling the fear and doing it anyway, okay? And oftentimes, think of the most confident person you know. The person where you're like, they have no insecurities. They know exactly who they are. Like that person, I promise to you, has struggled with insecurities. They have struggled with self-doubt. It's so easy. We learned this last week with all that Neptunian energy, right? It's very easy for people to project things and we don't know the real story of it. And confidence is something that you can project even if you don't inherently, always feel it necessarily. And when it comes to this particular energy, it's like noticing those stories that come up. It's like, well, I want to write this book, but what if it's not well received by the critics, right? Well, I want to move, but what if I don't want to make any friends? Like, you cannot allow your life to be, governed by what if. And absolutely, with this Aries energy, are we a little more impulsive, right? Are we a little bit more foolhardy? Absolutely. So will everything that we set off to do at this time manifest exactly as we thought we would? No, but oftentimes this idea leads you to the next one, that leads you to the next one, that pivots in this beautiful way. And it all happens from that desire to say yes, even though it scares you, even though it's bringing up certain stories, maybe in regards to your own worth, or maybe in regards to who it is that you are, being held back because it's like, well, I'm so shy, they're gonna make fun of me, or I have this scar when I'm on stage, what if the critics write about it? You cannot let your life be determined by other people's responses and reactions to you. To thine own self be true. You are the master of your fate, you're the captain of your soul. Your dreams are not going to drop out of the sky and come down to you. It takes that decision to initiate. It takes that decision to feel those insecurities and be able to step into your pathway, even despite of them, right? And in fact, even beyond in spite of them, because of them, right? We bring our lived experiences, we bring our own lens to things in everything that we do. And that's what makes you different than other, whatever it is that you do. That's what makes you different as a coach. That's what makes you different as a leader. That's what makes you different as a content creator, as a lawyer, is because you have a particular lens by which you view through your own lived experiences. So rather being like, well, I couldn't possibly because I'm shy, or because I have this scar, because I have this story. It's this energy of being like, I'm going to work through all these things because who knows, maybe, a little girl in the crowd has a similar scar to me and she sees me and she gives herself permission to dream. Again, not all of us are actors and actresses, but I want you to stay aware of those stories that come up, who you are fearing judgment of, right? Or why it is that you feel you are not cut out for this. You were made for this. These desires are not random. They were given to you for a reason, and you owe it to yourself to anchor them into reality, to initiate. I talk much more at length about this in the Aries new moon all signs forecast, but I just want to say here, with the moon meeting up with Chiron and Mercury meeting up with Chiron, you cannot let those what ifs or those old stories hold you back. No longer, okay? It's been holding a lot of you guys back, and no longer. And you never know how this step, this decision to say yes, will turn into something beautiful. Of course, is Aries impulsive? Yes. Is it a foolhardy energy? Do we not know necessarily how challenging it'll be to, go towards the end of this play? Yes, like Aries is the energy that is around this fresh new beginning, right? It's opening night, there's electricity, there's buzz. But oftentimes that first step onto the stage is the hardest because you have to overcome everything that's telling you you're a joke, you're not a real actor, you're not cut out for this, you're gonna fail, you're gonna forget your lines, all of these things. You have to step on stage. And every time you step on stage, every time you show up for that business, show up for that relationship, whatever it is that you're anchoring into your life at this time, it gets a little bit easier. It's like a muscle that we work where the next step that we take on isn't as hard because we got through. We read the reviews, they were glowing, but a couple of them were a little mean. We read them, we recovered, we dusted ourselves off, and we step on stage and we step on stage. And from that point on, every bad review hurts a little bit less. Every night that we have, we can breathe a little easier. We're able to eat a little more while still keeping it down. It gets easier. That first step, daunting, waiting, that suspense of being in the curtains, waiting for your cue, it's overwhelming. You're gonna feel that tendency to run off. You're gonna feel a tendency to be like, well, I'm not good enough and I'm not cut out for this anyway. Like, do not let your insecurities run your life. Let your desires run your life. Your desires want to take center stage this week, okay? And so, not all of us will be acting on Wednesday. There is moon on Chiron, so you might feel like whether it's other people, you're all excited about a new project and other people are like, I don't know, that's kind of weird. Just kind of pings at a thing where it's like, I'm not worthy of being seen, I'm not worthy of teaching or what have you. With the moon being up with Jupiter, there's good vibes. There's good vibes going around. There's confident energy going around. We're in the mood to try new things. We're feeling optimistic. Do we know everything that will be ahead of us when it comes to this new business, new relationship, whatever it is that you're working on? We do not. That we do not know. But we're essentially bringing it with us into it, and we're choosing to step up courageously. So Wednesday is a really great day to put yourself out there, hype up other people, hype up yourself, okay? There can be certain energies around feeling shy or feeling insecure, but just feel it and work through it. Understand that they are not taking center stage. They belong to the private version of yourself. Step into that exaggerated, embellished version of yourself. So on Thursday, March 23rd, Pluto, the planet of power and transformation, enters Aquarius. This is a big deal. This speaks to generational shifts, okay? And the power is shifting from Capricorn, which as an archetype, not my Capricorn loves, as an archetype is big business and structures. And with it entering Aquarius, there's a lot of power going towards technology, obviously, but also the people. I have a lot of thoughts on that particular placement. You're gonna wanna look at where it'll transit. Again, long-term, deep renovation in these territories, but you can check that out within the Pluto and Aquarius all signs deep dive. It has a lot to do with collective as well as you. But as I highlighted, I really love this idea of I was made for this, okay? Have you ever felt that when you are doing something and you're like, ooh, I was made for this? Like something about you just like comes alive and you're like, oh my gosh, I was made to do this. And it's glimmers. It's not necessarily like always as clear as a voice coming out of the sky and being like, you are here to sell computer software as a service. Like it's not always that clear. It comes through in shimmers. It comes through in desires. It comes through in that moment that you just feel activated, like a different part of you comes alive. Those are hints, right? Following those little hints, getting more of that energy within your world and just anchoring into that energy around I was made for this. I was designed for this. I think that's a beautiful thing of what astrology can sort of remind us of, is what it is that we were made for, and stepping into that and understanding you were made for this gives you a clearance to allow your nerves and your insecurities to stay behind, because it's like, no, I was made for this. The feeling that I have when I'm writing, I was made to do this. Or the feeling that I have when I am with my kids, like I was made to be a mother. Like those experiences where you're just like, you just feel every part, like yes, it does challenge you in brand new ways. Your passion will push you and challenge you and contort you in brand new ways, right? It won't be seamless, but you will feel this energy around being activated in a brand new way. And I will say, as I highlighted earlier, Pluto and Aquarius, brand new group of leaders, okay, are being asked to rise up to help the collective, okay? Sorry to get woo-woo, but it's so true, okay? And whether you feel called, like following those little passions, what are your passions telling you? We don't all get essentially activated by the same things because we're not all here to do the same things. There are some people where they cannot stop thinking about wanting to, there's like some people out there who like cannot stop thinking about the koalas and they just want to save the koalas. There are some people who, you know, talking about like civic issues just like activates them in a brand new way. There are some people when they're having off time, they just do like Reddit deep dives on this particular, you know, animator that they like again, these are clues. What it is that our passion is pulling us towards is clues. And it often doesn't unfold in the way that we think that it will, but it is a clue. And I am of the belief that these are all ways that we can up-level humanity. I know it can be overwhelming with everything that's going on right now and all of the different ways that you could potentially like help humanity, but the way that you approach what it is that you're passionate about, there's going to be a particular magic that comes through, right? There's a particular side of you that gets activated. There's a reason why you were chosen to have this particular passion and filter this particular message or what have you through it, okay? And so with Pluto and Aquarius, the themes are so broad and so expansive that I couldn't possibly just talk about it within this video, but I do want to share staying open to this shift, okay? With Pluto and Aquarius shifting towards the future, shifting towards banding together, finding ways that you can embrace where you are going, finding ways that you can embrace humanity, help humanity through this transformation in your own way. Oftentimes, if we operate from guilt around, oh, this is how I should help humanity, right? Like, I should help with sustainability. Absolutely, sustainability is a huge problem, but there are people who come alive, that is their purpose, that is what they're here to do when they're talking about sustainability, and the universe can be like, wait, no, but your perspective and your voice is so needed when you talk about the hearing loss that you have gone through and sharing resources for other people who have gone through hearing loss. Like, again, there's many different purposes. They show up in many different ways. Answer the call. Answer your passions. Pursue it. You never know how things will shift and evolve. There's a reason that it keeps whispering to you. There's people that can benefit from it. There's other things that can come into play and an impact that you can make just by following the call. You never know where things will go. And I just don't want you to live a life of what ifs. What if I had taken that first step? What if I had launched that thing? What if I had wrote that book? And I talk about this in the video, but basically, you know, you have to decide, would you rather live with the knowledge around, I wonder what would have happened if I did that, or I did that and it didn't work out how I wanted to. Like, what would you rather live with is the ask. And really with Pluto and Aquarius, how is it that you are being called to help humanity? Truly, like, how are you being called to empower us into the next era? So that's a major shift. Staying open to how those themes are sort of foreshadowed, as well as, with Pluto and Capricorn, there could be a deeper feeling of crisis as this, as this transit finishes off. And on Thursday, the moon aspects are very interesting because, okay, so in the morning time, the Aries moon builds to sextile Mars in Gemini. So there is this activation, energized energy would be great to work out. And then the moon's void, so it's void at 10:13, and then it enters Taurus at 11:42. Because Pluto has just entered Aquarius, the moon's ingress into Taurus, which is exaltation, it is comfy in Taurus, we'll talk about that in a moment, but it's met by an immediate square to Pluto. So there just can be, whether it's anxieties based on the path that's playing out within humanity right now, whether it is this daunting feeling of what it is that you're personally being called for. Thursday, just there can be energy, especially midday, around some anxieties or some power struggles or a feeling of doom or despair. And again, not sitting in it, because then the Taurus moon sextiles Saturn in Pisces is around, okay, I feel this anxiety. What am I going to do about it? I would definitely say with the Taurus moon, ground down into the senses. Okay, we can't do all the work at once, right? Sometimes it could be daunting when you have a passion or you have a vision or you have a purpose of something that you want to do to help or something you feel like you're here to do. It can feel so daunting. You're like, can I possibly? Or things can feel so messy within humanity. It's like, how are we gonna fix this? But with the Taurus moon, ground down in your senses, one step at a time. Okay, one step at a time. We cannot do it overnight. And with the sextile to Saturn, showing up how you can today and tomorrow, trusting that you'll show up how it is that you can. Perhaps you're not feeling this on necessarily such a collective level. To a micro level, it just could be power struggles at work, jealous feelings, intense communications coming through that are putting you into a feeling of like doom or despair. But just trust with the moon sextiling Saturn, ground down into your physical body. Okay, we're not going to solve it overnight. We're not going to figure it out all overnight. We can only take things one step at a time, staying open, because a lot of times when planets shift, it's not that we'll know exactly what Pluto in Aquarius will have in store for us, but I will say sometimes the themes are made deeply apparent right when it ingresses. So this could be an energy around feeling this energy around feeling out of control, feeling like things are shifting in a direction that you don't necessarily like, which can make you uneasy, whether you're feeling that within your personal life or you're feeling that within the collective. I would just advise ground down into your body, and with the sextile to Saturn, focus on what it is that you can control today, okay? Have those little routines and rituals that just kind of like ground you down, that allow you to just show up consistently. There is something very powerful in consistency, particularly in something that is, grounding that you do for yourself. And even though there was some, tense energy kind of midday, I do want to share Thursday night is my pick for date night. There's also some lovely energy on Friday as well. It's just this, we're just with the energy of the Taurus moon. I mean, we have sun exalted, moon exalted, Venus in rulership. We want to enjoy life. We're feeling more confident, right? We're feeling more sure of ourselves. We're feeling more confident, feeling more sure of ourselves, right? The energy in Aries, it is a little bit more confident. So if you're single, going on a date and being able to lead with your best foot forward, like that can also be helpful with dating, having like that version of yourself that you step into. Be like, okay, Cynthia's really nervous because she hasn't been on a date in so long, but Big C, I don't know the name I gave her earlier. Big C isn't scared, whatever you want to call yourself, honestly. You don't even have to have a name for it. I've just found it's helpful, especially if I'm feeling a lot of like nerves or anything of that nature, just being like, well, I'm stepping into this version and she doesn't have any nerves. She knows she was made for this. She knows who she is. And again, with the energy in Aries, we are being asked to, put our best foot forward, be bold, be courageous, right? Be forthright about our desires and what it is that we want. So on Thursday would be a great time to, not going to that date as Big C, being like, I want this person to like me, but being like, do I like this person, right? Stepping into our most embodied, confident version. And if you're in a relationship, would be a great time for a date night. Enjoy life, enjoy the senses. I know a lot of times when things feel like they're crumbling or things feel like they're falling apart. I went on a rant about this a couple weeks ago, but I just want to share, like, you need to seize those moments of loveliness. Like, so much of life is out of our control. You need to seize those moments of loveliness as they come up. So Thursday, whether you make a delicious meal for yourself, go on a date, say yes to that music concert, Saying yes is a big theme this week, okay? Say yes, be spontaneous, enjoy life. Life is for the living. You gotta seize these moments of enjoyment. Like, I would make a big meal, honestly, because the Taurus moon is building to conjoin Venus and Taurus. It won't exact until the following day, but we'll feel it build on Thursday. Build Uranus, so we're in the mood for newness, new pleasures. So make a delicious meal, make a lovely cocktail, make a lovely dessert, have a bubble bath. And Friday, the 24th, say yes. Say yes. Say yes. And whether like to saying yes to that course even though it scares you, or saying yes to that promotion even though it scares you, saying yes to that audition even though it scares you, you never know where things will go. And it's important when we talk about Aries, you know, it's very enthusiastic, it's very excited, it's very drawn towards beginnings, right? Initiation. And we don't know how that passion will morph and change. Maybe just at this particular iteration, we get activated around stepping onto a stage and being an actor or an actress. Maybe that won't be the case forever, right? But we need to say yes to what is lighting us up within this particular moment, as well as saying yes to magic, spontaneous moments, because you never know where things will go if you say yes, if you feel the fear, if you feel the insecurity and show up anyway. This can be social gatherings, okay, on Friday, like people are hanging out, you don't know them that well, say yes. I'm telling you right now, say yes. Maybe you're feeling courageous energy around putting yourself out there more in dating. Say yes to that person. Will every single date work out? No. Will every single social gathering work out? No. But imagine the connections that you can make. So I would say yes to opportunities. I would say yes to people. I would say yes to life, okay? Embrace the spontaneous. It is Aries season. And I just want to share an experience that I had where I did not realize all of the ways that this decision to say yes would echo out into my life. Like, I truly do not know what my life would look like. And you probably have so many experiences of this too. That one time you went to that party and you met your partner, right? That one time you chose to sit on the opposite side of class and you met your best friend. That one time that you chose to Google, you know, what's my birth chart, and it opened up this whole new passion for astrology. Whatever it is for you, like, I want you to reflect on all of the things that led to, that it wouldn't have had you not said yes, right? And perhaps even for some people, put yourself out of your comfort zone, right? We're having North Node contacts this week, all this Aries energy. It's not a week for, you know, for staying hidden and staying in your comfort zone, okay? You can be scared, absolutely. You can have nerves, but just stepping into it, stepping into that party, stepping into that opportunity, and just being like, those nerves are behind me. I'm just stepping into it. I'm just open to what life can give me. And I say this because the Taurus moon meets up with Venus and meets up with Uranus early in the morning. So just being open to spontaneity. I will say we can be feeling a little bit restless, right? Or erratic, or all over the place. You could be feeling restless. You could be feeling erratic. So maybe you're saying yes just because you're like, okay, something different from the routine. That's what I want to do. And I would definitely say Friday, it's Venus day. Venus is in rulership. The moon's in Taurus, which is exalted. Look good, feel good, have sensual experiences, enjoy your life. I will say with Moon Uranus, you could just be feeling all over the place. Mars is also at the last degree of Gemini, so feeling a little like flighty, or like have kind of like nervous, buzzing energy, or just be like so bored that you're just in the mood for a disruption to the typical. So if you're just like sitting there looking at spreadsheets, just being like, I want to be doing something else. And so again, if your coworker comes in and is like, hey girl, do you want to go to this conference? Say yes. At least it's a disruption from the routine, right? But just allowing yourself to stay open to how things can shift and change. I do want to share it. You can jump to Saturday if you don't want to hear an anecdote. I remember I met this guy who is a photographer, and randomly at an astrology event that I was throwing, and we became friends on Facebook, and he had posted something that he was like looking for models for this like deep house fashion show thing, and it seemed so fun. I was like, I want to wear fun clothes at a bar, but I was like, okay, I've never modeled. Besides, I was on the side of a wall one time doing Pilates. There's me and my grandma with me on a wall. Other than my brief modeling debut, I have not done any modeling, and obviously that brought up every single insecurity under the sun at auditions. It was like a local thing, right? Wasn't that big a deal, but they had headshots and like all this stuff, and I was like, girl, what are you doing? But I just thought it seemed fun, and it was so scary to go to the audition. I was like, I'm not gonna know anybody. I'm not a model. I don't know if I can do this. And so I got in the show. It was so much fun. I got to wear some fun clothes. My hair was done crazy. It was such a good time. So I met a journalist there. He interviewed me just about the fashion show and we stayed connected. And then the organizer, so the one who planned all the things, basically asked me, he was like, would you be interested in doing the next one and actually helping me with it, like helping organize and like manage the models? And even that, I was like, I've never organized a fashion show before, but I was like doing random freelance stuff all the time at that time. So I was like, I'm gonna learn something. That's why I just always say yes, because you're gonna learn something, you're gonna meet someone. It might be weird, but you might learn a new skill. Who knows? Maybe fashion management was my passion. It was not. It was not my passion. But anyways, so upon the second fashion show, so now I'm hired, which I was like, okay, let's do this, because models did not get paid. They get paid in alcohol, okay? But organizing the fashion show, I was gonna get paid. And I was like, you know what, this seems fun. It's a night's work, whatever. I'm gonna learn something, it's fine. So I thought of that journalist that I met at that first fashion show. And so I reached out, you know, my marketing brain's always on, and I asked him if he wanted media passes. And so he was like, sure. So he brought 2 friends with him, okay? And so this all has a point, I swear. So journalist brought 2 friends. So at the fashion show, turns out model management is not my forte, okay? It is not my forte in this life. You know, that's also helpful about trying stuff, is you figure out, hey, I thought I wanted to be an actress, but these reviews, this critic, like this is not for me, no thank you. And that's also data, like that's okay. Aries is about the courage to try and to learn, and you don't know until you try, okay? So if you're like hesitating, going back and forth around, it's gotta be glossy and it's gotta be perfect, give yourself permission to try. So I'm glad I tried, because that is not my calling in life. Woo, it was tough. I was lassoing these girlies, making sure they were in the right clothes. I kind of had to be the bad guy because everything needed to go at a certain time. There were some designers there. One designer who scared me. She did not smile, and I was just so intimidated by her. And of course, when one of the models was missing, it was the girl who's wearing her clothes. And you know, if you've worked fashion shows, it's very, very hectic. There is a lot going on. You try to lasso beautiful drunk women in a nightclub, okay? It just doesn't work like that. So I was really, really stressed, sweating, running around, looking for this girl. This random guy was like, okay, how can I help? Didn't even know him, but I was like, okay, so she looks like this. She should be wearing this. Cause I was just like, so like, where the hell is this girl? This fashion designer is gonna like literally chop my head off. So this guy, random stranger, comes back from the alley. I'll never forget, like almost not in a mean way at all, but like literally like kind of like pulling this girl, like kind of pulling along, like, okay, let's go girl. Finds her and brings her to me, and I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. The show goes on. I'm like, phew. And turns out that stranger was one of the friends that the journalist brought, okay? He would have never been at a nightclub. He would have never been at a fashion show. And that guy who helped me find the model is my boyfriend. And he's been helping me, maybe not find models, but he's been helping me in every aspect of my life since then. Literally, I don't know how the universe would have put me and him in the same orbit. It had to be a weird way like that. Neither of us have ever been on dating apps. Neither of us hang out in the same places. He truthfully doesn't really go out at all. You know, there was no other way for us to become in the same orbit. The universe had to get really, really creative with that. So all of that to say, you never know how fate is trying to find you, right? In random invitations. Was my calling to help organize fashion shows? Hell no. That was one of the hardest nights of my life. I was so sweaty. I earned that money, okay? I earned that money that night. That was not my calling, right? Did I get involved with those fashion shows afterward? No. Did I start a career as a model from my first one? No, right? A lot of things didn't quite pan out. Did I make amazing connections? Many of which I still have within my world and have been fundamental in the care and keeping of me as a human being? Yes. You just don't know how things are going to pan out. So that's why we do ourselves such a disservice when we keep ourselves safe. We keep ourselves in our comfort zone. That could have been a night, you know, I could have been like, whatever, I don't really want to work in fashion shows. I'm just going to stay in and watch Netflix, you know, and who knows how differently my life would look at this point. I could have saw that model call and been like, I'm not a model. I don't have what it takes. They're all going to be, you know, so professional. And so oftentimes we just need that energy, that courage, like stepping into it. I literally stepped into that nightclub that night like, yeah, I manage models. I manage models. I stepped into the fashion show like, yeah, I'm a model. You just have to step into that version, okay? And leave your fear and your fears behind. It may not pan out as you thought you would. Maybe you get there and you're like, I actually hate modeling and this is not for me. That can absolutely be a reality, but you never know who you could meet. You never know what you could learn. Answer the call. You owe it to yourself. I will say, while I'm like, yes, do all the things, you got it. Yes, do all the things, but with Mars at the last degree, it's a very urgent degree. People can be a little bit more feisty, a little bit more snappy, a little bit more reactive. Again, with the Taurus moon, ground down, make sure you're taking care of your senses, not overworking, not overdoing. Absolutely say yes to life, but ensure you're not doing anything too reckless or too impulsive. So on Saturday, Mars enters Cancer, which, oh my gosh. Okay, so Mars is not dignified in Cancer, okay? It really doesn't love to be there because Mars is about action and assertion, going after what it is that we want, whereas Cancer is more so about protecting what it is that we have. Again, it could be a very powerful placement. Like I find a lot of people who have this are very much like mama bear energy in that they are defensive over what and who that they love. They do tend to be more shrewd as it relates to the decisions that they make, but the downside is that there can be this energy to operate from this lens of security. There can be a tendency to react quite emotionally. There can be a feeling around our energy levels kind of waxing and waning. And keep in mind, this is who the sun is answering to. This is who Mercury is answering to. So that's why I'm saying there is certainly some impulsivity, some desire to take action and here, you know, from our emotional space, right? And so basically the flavor, the tone shifts every 2.5 days because Mars is answering to the moon, right? So every time the moon shifts, Mars shifts. So our energy levels can just be feeling up and down, just really having a hard time. A lot of people feel this as having a hard time staying motivated, feeling more affected by the lunar phases, feeling more affected by our ebbs and flows of our own energy levels. So even though this is not necessarily the comfiest place for Mars to be, I'm quite excited for it. Because Mars has been in Gemini for so long, and I just want you to take a moment, just appreciate all that Mars in Gemini has taught you, and then just say goodbye. Oh my gosh, look at the Gemini sector of your chart and tell me you are not incredibly burnt out in that sector. Like I just need Mars to get out of my 10th house. Oh my gosh, I have never been so burnt out in my life. It can be, you know, putting more energy there, being a little bit more reactive in that sector, as well as experiencing more conflict there, as well as if you're like me, just feeling so burnt out in that arena. I'm just excited for some fresh new energy and really what I'm intending, and meet me here if you're feeling burnt out as well. With Mars in Cancer, I'm intending to follow my energy, okay? I'm intending to follow what it is that I need at any given moment and allowing that to echo out, right? I am intending to protect what is the most sacred, which for all of us, every single person watching this video, it is you. Like you are the center of your reality. You are the star of this play, so to speak. You need to take care of yourself, okay? And with Mars in Cancer, being able to allow our actions to come from that place. Like when it comes to, you know, Pluto entering Aquarius, a lot of us can feel called to this thing that feels so big, and it feels bigger and more important than you sometimes. Like your passion can feel that way. And I think with Mars in Cancer, a lot of us are going to kind of slow down and be like, okay, but for me to show up for that, I need to make sure I'm taking care of all that I am, my emotions. So if you're with me and you're going to listen to your energy better as well and allow the wax and wanes without feeling like you are wrong or you are bad for needing what it is that you need in order to be your best version, let's intend that this Mars in Cancer. And so moon aspects, the Taurus moon sextiles Neptune in Pisces in the morning time. So kind of a dreamy time to laze in bed, look at the way that the sun comes through your blinds, or write some poetry, right? Like it's a little romantic, bake some muffins for you and your partner, or do something that invites in a little bit of romance into your day, right? With Mars in Cancer, you and we have permission to slow down, okay? Choose easy, slow down, right? Like to make it to the top of the mountain when it comes comes this first step that we're taking with this Aries new moon, it needs to be in a sustainable way, right? Like we can take all this enthusiasm and excitement, but ensure that we are taking care of ourselves. So making sure that we are like drinking water before stepping on stage, or giving ourselves breaks with our business, or what have you, like just sustainably initiating and sustainably reaching our goals. And the moon enters Gemini at 5:42 p.m., at which point it will then trine Pluto in Aquarius at 5:46 p.m. That's going to be so strange to say that. I'm so used to saying Saturn in Aquarius, Pluto in Capricorn. So yes, now we've got Gemini moon trining Pluto in Aquarius. And the difference between this and the Taurus moon squaring off with Pluto earlier in the week is that with the trine, it's a little bit of a helping hand. So being able to kind of powerfully maybe learn something new with the Gemini moon, having a powerful, deep conversation with somebody who makes you feel held. But on that note, Gemini moon now squares Saturn in Pisces. So there can be an energy around feeling blocked, feeling frustrated. You know, with the Gemini moon, we can be in the mood to put ourselves out there, learn something new, and we might be feeling socially awkward or unsure of ourselves because the Gemini moon squares Saturn, so there's a little bit of like insecurity, as well as the ruler of the Gemini moon is Mercury, who's conjoining Chiron. So there just could be stuff that's kind of coming up in our mind. And again, it's feeling the fear, but still daring to strike up that conversation, daring to say yes, daring to put yourself out there. But there does seem to be a feeling around having some indecision or feeling weird for how it is that we socialize or communicate or anything of that nature. On March 26th, we have the true like waxing moon phase, which is the Gemini moon sextiling Aries sun. So again, forward momentum, my loves. Feel that fear of Mercury on Chiron and do it anywhere. There can be, you know, stuff that comes up, right? With Mercury Chiron, stuff that comes up, old wounds, old insecurities, ways that we don't feel enough, ways that we feel like we're weird or what have you. But there is this emboldening of a fresh new start, learning something new. Aries sun, Gemini moon, like obviously learning something new, you're gonna feel dumb. Me, I was not great at organizing models and things of that nature. And it made me feel like, you're so dumb. Why are you not good at this sort of stuff? But again, it's just like flicking those thoughts out of your mind like a little buzzing fly, just be like, get out of here. Because then the Gemini moon sextiles Chiron and Aries. So again, feeling what's coming to the surface and, you know, working through it. Because also with Mercury Chiron, it kind of reminds me of the vibe check, because it's also like, you know, we might be scared of bad reviews, and there might be some bad reviews. If you have a podcast, people are going to say your voice is annoying. If you start that business, you're going to get, you know, rude people who dispute their order even though you send things. Like there just is going to be stuff, right? And words can wound. With Mercury Chiron, you can be more sensitive to the words that other people inflict on you, okay? And again, with Mars and Cancer, you know, people are a little reactive, right? From emotional layer, a little bit more emotionally erratic, right? Or impulsive. And with Mercury Chiron wanting to like fling words that'll hurt, or also being on the receiving end of being like, ouch, why would you say that to me? Whether it's critics or comments or whatever, just like, ow, like being a little bit more affected, but just understanding like, okay, if it was easy, everybody would do it, firstly. And I'm open to constructive criticism. I'm not coming from a lens around if people have something negative to say that they're wrong. Everybody's valid to their opinion. But I do want to highlight, if people are just like viciously cruel, and it's a hard lesson to learn, okay? It's so challenging. And that's why I'm really grateful that I'm on the internet, because it has developed a very tough skin, okay? But I just want to say, you know, if someone's just like viciously cruel, typically it comes from something that they're feeling triggered by within their world. They shoot out poison because it exists within them. Like, you know, I've never said vicious things on the internet. Like I literally cannot relate. So I'm like, they must be really going through it. And the more you can just make like Aries energy and just let those words burn off of you, other people's opinions of you have nothing to do with you, and you cannot let the fear of judgment from other people affect how it is that you shine your light, okay? People will have something to say. In fact, they'll have something to say, especially if you are doing what you're meant to be doing. Honestly, and there's such a difference. I'm not saying you can't critique me. I'm open to it. I'm a Virgo moon. I know there's lots to work on. But with Mercury Chiron, like, you know the difference when you read something and someone's like coming for your appearance or coming for other things that you can't control. And you're like, what the hell? Like with Mercury Chiron, I want you to celebrate that first hate comment that you get on your podcast that you launch. I want you to celebrate that first bad review for your business, because essentially those are opportunities. They're learning opportunities, right? They're not always helpful, right? The journey won't always be felt with this excitement of the first step, right? But it's choosing to consistently show up, choosing to consistently get on stage, even if there are bad reviews. So my loves, that is our week. Our Magic Monday mantra of the week is I was born for this. Truly, your DNA, your birth chart encoded you for these particular desires. They are not random, they're hints. They show up in glimmers. That little moment that you just feel activated when you're having this particular conversation with a friend, that moment when you're telling someone a story and you get so enraptured in it that you just feel like you come alive, a different side of yourself gets activated, that exaggerated, embellished version, right? Like those little moments, those little glimmers. So let me know what you're looking forward to, what you are intending with this fresh new energy. I'm sending you all so much love, and until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay magical.